Hello, this is intro to episode 6. Hope you're all good. Hope you are still enjoying the podcast, those who's listening. This episode we have another Jack. Yeah, I just know a lot of Jacks, don't worry. I don't know a lot of Jacks, I know 2 Jacks. Anyway, we talk about, I haven't had a hip-hop chat, maybe 2 hip-hop chats with him, maybe, and some of them were indirectly through his wife, who I know. But we talk about lots of things about how he listens to music, how he thinks rapping as a sport. That's why there's so much rivalry within it. We talk about his taste and how he got there, and who he likes to listen to, how he discovers hip-hop. It's a really good chat. And, yeah, I hope you really enjoy it. I enjoyed talking to Jack about his hip hop choices. Here comes the episode. See you at the end. I don't know. Hello, welcome to episode 6, I believe. Yeah, episode 6. Pretty much sure it's episode 6. Anyway, hope everyone's doing well. Hope you've enjoyed the episode so far. We've had, 6 episodes and it's going quite well. I've got loads more booked and planned up. On this week's episode, I've got another Jack, different Jack to the first Jack. It's not a repeat episode. Don't worry if you feel like, oh, he's already done this one. It's a different Jack. Jack is the husband of someone that I work with called Lydia, and she'll probably be on the podcast in a couple of weeks' time, maybe. Hopefully, if we can get her on. She's not too scared. Lydia will be not working with me shortly, so I thought I'd just arrange this and get this done. So, welcome, Jack. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you for having me.
Yeah. I think we've met maybe once or twice, and we've had brief conversations about hip hop, but never like a potentially hour-long discussion about hip hop. So this is going to be an eye opener for me in terms of I kind of get what you like from what Lydia says that basically what she likes is what you've told her basically. So and from what Lydia plays and she suggests, it's all good stuff. So I'm guessing you've got really good taste.
I like to think so. Yeah. Everyone thinks they've got good taste.
Yeah, they do. They do. But yeah, it's your taste, and that's what's interesting about hip hop music is that everyone will have their own things they like, things they dislike, and I think it's just interesting to see the differences in that and what similarities people have as well. So we'll start off with the opening question. Really, is how did you get into hip hop?
Do you know what? I was having to think about this the other day about how I got into it, and I don't think there's one defining moment, but I think from my age, I'm in my early 30s. I think my earliest memories of kind of, I don't know if you can call it hip hop, it's Will Smith. I think growing up as a kid, it was Fresh Prince of Bel-Air every day after school. I mean, I used to go home on my lunch breaks in secondary school and watch Fresh Prince on the lunch breaks as well. So I think that was probably the earliest kind of memories in hip hop, and then probably moving into the early 2000s kind of rise of Eminem. I'd say they're the kind of 2 main kind of starters for me were Will Smith and then moving into Eminem from there.
So do you remember the Fresh Prince intro? Everyone does.
Of course they do. Don't get me to rap it.
But yeah, I think that's a really interesting point. Every day, pretty much, that show was played, and that would probably be a lot of people's first because the whole intro was rapped, and I can't remember another TV show that has a rap to introduce the show.
No, and you think that anyone, even if you watched it just a couple of times, even if you weren't a big fan, pretty much everyone knows at least a line from it, don't they? They can sing along, and it gets played in clubs and nights out, and everyone tends to sing along. So I think everyone probably had that kind of a similar maybe introduction without even thinking about it.
Yeah. So did you go on to listen to any more Will Smiths out of that albums?
It wasn't I mean, I think. And again, me and Liv were talking about this. I think she was dancing to the first Men in Black song just for a laugh, and then trying to learn the dance moves. But technically, he's a great rapper. Like, he's really very good at rapping, the art of rapping. He's just not. It's not my taste in rap. It's not my style that I like.
Yeah.
So I think my cousin bought. I think it was Millennium. I think the album. And was it Big Willie style, his first one?
Yeah.
So I remember him vividly, him having them on CD, and we were the same age. So I listened to them when I was in his company around his house and stuff, but I never went out and bought them. But yeah, I kind of dabbled in it really, but not. I didn't become a fan of Will Smith as a rapper. I always liked him as an actor more.
Yeah, I think technically he's very good, and the way he avoids swearing and like misogyny, he's quite clever, because to not just do that maybe once or twice, but do that over a couple of albums and like keep doing that. My brother, for a talent show, speaking of Men in Black, he and his friend Thomas, at the time, he was in primary school, dressed up as Tommy Lee Jones and Will Smith from Men in Black, and did the dance. He had little suits on, he had glasses on, and I think he was very proud of that moment where him and his friend was up. And so that reminded me of that. Was Lydia any good at the dancing?
No, and she'll tell you it's actually quite a difficult little dance to do. There's a few bits and bobs to remember, and she was dreadful. She was doing at the end of the beds one night, and I was like, "What on earth are you doing?" I was watching some TikTok video, and she was trying to replicate it, and oh god.
You don't really get, like, there was a period of time when rap songs and hip hop songs had dances to go with them.
Well, you remember like Puff Daddy, as he was known in those days. He was just dancing in videos all the time, wasn't he? It doesn't happen anymore. It's just not cool. No. It's not.
Well, it doesn't have, like, I remember I was listening to, was it Terror Squad, Lean Back?
Yeah.
And that had a little dance to it.
Yeah.
And
signature move. Yeah.
Signature move. And then there was quite a few, like but now it just seems
Boy.
Soldier Boy. Yeah. Yeah, Soldier Boy. That's I don't think I listened to any other song but that one song by him.
I don't know if he made another song, to be honest.
Yeah. Now it seems to be like the flip, like TikTok, someone releases a hip song or rap song and TikTok creates the dance for it. Or like a challenge for it or something like that. Which is really bizarre. Eminem, it seems to be, everyone around, like, I've had on the podcast stuff, has been a similar age, in their 30s, and Eminem is the key, like, starting point for them as well. What did you remember the first Eminem song you listened to, or how it made you feel?
First Eminem song that I listened to would have been My Name Is, I believe.
Yeah.
I think it was hard not to. It was probably his first song that got UK mainstream radio play, if I'm not mistaken. I think The Guilty Conscience came out before that. It was off the same album. But yeah, My Name Is probably that first one, and that would have been late years in primary school, and then moving into secondary school was then when Real Slim Shady came out with Marshall Mathers LP. So so it would have been around. Yeah, I think it's My Name Is.
Do you remember how it, like, made you feel at the time? Because he's quite he wasn't the usual rapper that you had before. Everything was very safe, and he was, you remember that first, like, what it felt like, or your first, like, what is this kind of?
I think going back to My Name Is it, and Eminem's always been very good at this about over his whole career, is creating pop records within rap. And they're radio hits that get radio play and make money and get him noticed. And then he has a lot of the rest of his album. It'll tend to have one or two songs which are not radio friendly, but they're catchy and they have some kind of repetitive kind of chorus to them. And I think that's what happened with My Name Is. It was just everyone just was all of a sudden coming into school singing, "Hi, my name is," and everyone was singing it. And then there was the video, and it was more the video, I think, that struck me, because again, I would have been, I think I would have been about 11 when that song came out. So I don't think I was at that time really consciously taking in lyrics and meaning, but until I saw the music video on what was MTV, the only music video station we had. It was him spitting in the onion rings, and I remember the pet, like, sneaking down watching the parents watching Discovery Channel animal shagging and whatnot. Like, and it wasn't until I see the video, and then obviously when you're watching the video, they're blanking the lyrics out on daytime TV. Then you start putting the words again. You start thinking, Jesus, it's quite raw actually. And I think it was that shock value which drew me in. I wanted to kind of explore, and it was music that I couldn't put on the tape player in the car with my mum. But she's like, I've not listened to this, and that's what drew me in. It's like that rebellious want to hear more, and I can only listen to this on my own. I can't listen to this in my mum's company, kind of thing.
Yeah, I think that very much, like, if you think about early Eminem, he was definitely going after a demographic of young adults, teenagers, children, with his choruses, his hooks, the videos were always like he dressed up as him and Dr. Dre, Batman and Robin.
Yeah,
like that is primarily targeted at children, and that is a bizarre strategy to go for, where you actually listen to the context of his songs. There was definitely like I don't know, there is definitely of its time. I don't think someone could get away with that now, being so like explicit but very targeted towards like children. Like it'll be completely off limits now.
There's no artist that I can think of that would want to do it, or it's even their bag now. And even if they were to do it, I don't think many record companies would let them do it, to be honest.
I think the hip hop now that is like kids or like they get into, which Eminem does, it's more funny based rather than Eminem is a funny, like he can make funny songs. There's lots of jokes in it, but I think now it's more switched, and he obviously has a lot of explicit nature in it. But now it's more like, you know, you think of like you know, the popular like songs of that targeted kids, like Old Town Road. It's just a fun song, and like you know, even Soulja Boy was a fun song. It didn't have any kind of like real kind of like content or explicit malice to it. So yeah, I think that's going down there. Do you remember who, like, obviously those were like introduced to you? Do you remember the like first one you like hip hop or music you discovered like solely on your own? It feels like Eminem and Will Smith was kind of like on your, like, it was like thrust upon you. But do you remember one that you went out and sought for yourself?
Difficult. I don't think there was anyone that I think I've always been the case of like, if I like it, if I hear it, I like it, and I'll explore it. I think there's no one early back then. I think it was more at that time you kind of understanding what your friends like, and then you listen to one artist and they'll have a feature on their album, you listen to the next one, and they'll become part of a group, almost like a family within there, like that, especially back in the day, like Death Row Records. If you listen to Tupac, you had to listen to Snoop and Dre and Dog Pound, and then same with like East Coast, it was Biggie, it was Prodigy and all sorts. So I think, I mean, I remember doing it with MF Doom. I think I always remember seeing the Mad Villainy album cover whenever I went into HMV, and it was that what intrigued me. Just the album cover, and I was like, I didn't have a clue who it was, and I think it was just on YouTube back in the day, just listening to a couple of his songs, like exploring them that way, and then kind of, because it's hard to be, you can't be exposed to MF Doom via radio or music videos, it's just not played. It's underground hip hop, so probably would have been Doom would have been the only person I've probably just kind of discovered organically, and then went down the rabbit hole of Doom.
So I've only just listened to MF Doom literally in the last week or so, and I feel like it's very, very good. I thoroughly enjoy it. I always thought I would, but it was kind of like, you know, one of those things, like everyone talks about how good he was, and I'm the kind of person, if everyone keeps talking about it, I won't watch it. Like, I've not watched Game of Thrones because I can't, like, there's something in me that, like, I don't want to jump on the hype. I want to make sure that I want to watch it when I want to listen. And same with MF Doom. I was like, I want to listen to it when I want to listen to it.
You need to do that with Doom, I think. Well.
And I think it's like sometimes you listen to an artist or a rapper, and you're just not ready for the lyrics because you're too young. I think MF Doom was probably one of them. Gangstar was another one that I didn't listen to until later. I was aware of it, but I was like,
I still haven't gone down the Gangstar route yet either. No.
It's very much, I think, those kind of like really dense and really complex hip hop artists that do that. You have to be ready for that message.
Definitely.
The one I remember discovering on my own was Lupe Fiasco.
Okay. Yeah.
Lupe Fiasco, The Cool, and
Yeah.
Food and Liquor. Those albums are like perfect to me. Like I haven't listened to them ages. Now I'm gonna try and listen to them after this finishes. But yeah, but those are the ones I discovered, and I think there's something to it when you discover an artist by yourself, especially
Hmm.
a hip hop artist, because it's I think it's very much, for me anyway, it's very much a unique experience listening to
Yeah.
someone's hip hop, because it's often someone that's coming from struggle, that is trying
Yeah.
to explain a story, and it it can be very like thought provoking and like an insight
Yeah.
into someone's world.
Oh, definitely. It's an
Yeah,
emotional music, like
yeah,
genre of music, and I think another artist that I think I discovered, like again, organically and naturally, was Mac Miller,
mm,
and like I think everyone was kind of aware of him, but like the party frat boy rapper
mm,
singing Donald Trump and
yeah,
whatnot, but
yeah,
which I didn't pay much attention to. Just knew
yeah,
that knew those hit records basically. But
mm,
I think it was probably watching movies and the sound off that
mm.
like, I think I just remember listening to. Saw the album cover in HMV, went home, either illegally downloaded it or whatnot, kind
Nice.
of went down, and then again, like I was just amazed, like how good he was, and every album from there on just got better and better, and he evolved, and like then I went back to some of his old stuff, and again I didn't, I appreciate it because I liked him as an artist, but I understand why I didn't probably get into him at that point, and I did, as
Yeah,
his later stuff.
yeah. He taken to us for too soon.
Oh yeah,
I think he was progressing in a way that's really interesting and
exciting,
really
yeah,
exciting. And The Divine Feminine is like one of my favorite albums of all time.
incredible, isn't it?
Credible albums, like his ones he's like swimming in circles were really good.
Yeah,
I'm not sure if you like. There's this program that's called, I don't know what it's called, but the premise is that they send a rapper or producer into a vinyl shop,
record shop, yeah,
and they
that's good.
literally pick three records. And
Yeah,
what he does with his record he picks is like, no, you're an artist. You're not just a rapper.
yeah,
You have done something that,
yeah,
like, I just find the whole process fascinating. Anyway, like
yeah.
the whole like, right,
So do
I
I.
like the horn section. I'm gonna chop it, flip it,
Yeah,
and that'll be that section of it, and it turn into the bass line somehow, and that's all fantasy. But the way he does it is like, and then and like, I didn't realize like
how
how
talented he
talented
was.
he was. Like he would
Yeah,
just be picking up instruments, he'll go, and it was just like, okay, you are next level, and like,
yeah.
yeah, and that's just that again makes me feel that's such a shame that
I know.
he kind of like his life has ended, and like he could have progressed in something that was really really like like regarded mainstream and like underground as one of the greatest.
100%. He was creating his own lane a little bit, wasn't he?
Yeah,
I think
yeah, I
to
think
do the stuff that.
yeah. So how do you kind of get hip hop into your day to day? I know you've got a son the same age as my
Yeah,
daughter, and it's very difficult to, rightly or wrongly, like play them hip hop. like,
yeah, yeah.
I played. I've been listening to a lot of Kanye West just because he's one of my favorites, and I
Yeah.
played Yeezus.
Mhm.
To my 2-year-old daughter, and
Yeah,
she
yeah.
liked Black Skinhead and New Slaves because it's quite a beat to it. But
Beat,
other
yeah.
than that, there's a point where I'm going to think she's going to start repeating the words soon.
This is
Because she,
mad because I done exactly the same thing. I dropped lid off in Sainsbury's the other day,
Mm.
and I popped into McDonald's drive-through. That's what I feed my son.
Yeah,
And as we were waiting in the queue, I put Yeezus on, and I've done
yeah,
exactly the same thing. In the first tune, like it would have been 3 or 4 songs we got into, and he was just
yeah,
bopping his head in the back. How weird is that?
yeah. That
Yeah,
is weird. Right, there's anyone you've got like young children. Yeezus is the album to play
yeah.
them if you want to get them into hip hop. Um, but yeah, how do you get hip hop in? Like, when are you listening to it in your day to day? Like, I have to find moments. Like, I
Yeah.
try to listen to music on a Sunday if I can,
Hmm.
but other times it's just like, right, I can pop up that album quick. I can't, while I'm doing something else. Do you actually get time to sit down and listen to an album these days?
Yeah, I think in normal times before COVID and hopefully after COVID, I'm quite lucky. I say lucky, it's a gift and a curse. I work on the road, so I
Yeah.
do a lot of driving. So I could be anywhere from 3 hours in the car before I started my day of work. So I have a lot of time. I can get through an album or two in the morning, and then during the day I can be breaking up through albums as well. So normally Monday to Friday is in the car, and that's my favourite place to listen to music is in the car because I can get on the motorway and like if there's a new album coming out and I know I've got a lengthy drive on the Monday, it's like I'll wait till Monday
Yeah.
and I'll plug in and just hit the road, and then like that's me and the music. I can just kind of
Yeah.
without kind of reading lyrics, I can just listen to it on that first go, just organically
Yeah.
listen to the music, and I'll catch bits and bobs here and some lines, and I'll go back to that, I'll go back to that. And then when I get home, I think when I cook, I stick Alexa on in the kitchen and I do the cooking, and I like it. That's why I put my music on. Again, I've had Kanye on this evening whilst I've been cooking. I'm not too scared around the music and the content, the lyrics, to be
Yeah.
honest. My son, whether that's the right thing or the wrong thing, but it didn't do me any harm listening to that kind of music. Not I wouldn't have done it when I was 2.5, 3, but
Yeah.
it didn't do me any harm listening to it, as long as I understand it's when it's the right time, wrong time to use that kind of language, I suppose, when it's at the right time. But I'd say mainly in the car for me.
Yeah. I find it's like, yeah, I'm still working from home, so I do get to put some music on in the background when I'm working, but obviously like you're still being relied on to help people, so I
Yeah,
often get interrupted. I never put on an album I haven't listened to. I put on stuff I've listened to
yeah,
before.
background music.
Yeah, and but when it's like a new album, I normally go for a walk because
Yeah,
I can walk around and listen and not be interrupted or stuff like
that's
that.
it.
So yeah, like who are kind of you like what's on your like heavy rotation? Who do you kind of play most of?
Um, over the I'd say last 2 years has probably been mainly Mac Miller, to be honest. Like
Mm,
he's someone that's really struck me. I was lucky to see him live a couple of times.
mm,
Would have got tickets to swimming when he come over for the swimming tour, but
mm,
obviously he passed away a month after releasing the album.
yeah,
So I'd say Mac is a big one of late. Doom has always been someone that just pops in and out. Like I'm quite a phaser. It's the same. When I go outside of hip hop, I'm a huge Radiohead fan. So
yeah,
there's times where I'll just listen to non-stop Radiohead for a couple of weeks,
mm,
and it's what I live and breathe. And then with hip hop, I'll go to Mac Miller. I'll always go back to Tupac because he's one of the biggest kind of hip hop
mm,
artists in my life. Like always has been and always will be. Kanye is, I find, if I want something to laugh at, but also want to be like, I always get wowed by his beats, even if I've listened to them a million times. Like,
mm,
I just sometimes I'll be like say tonight I was cooking in the kitchen, I had Yeezus on, and like Blood and Leaves comes on, and
yeah,
like I have to stop and go, Jesus Christ, like bloke's
yeah,
incredible. Like I worry about him, but when he calls
yeah,
himself a genius when it comes to music, I
yeah,
can't help but agree with him. So
yeah,
for me, it's Mac, Tupac, Kanye, MF Doom, yeah, they're kind of the I'd say the big hitters for in my like heavy rotation wise. Yeah,
yeah. So that kind of brings us nicely onto the next section, which is Tupac or Biggie. And I think you've given away
I've answered it.
you've either go the game, but is
Yeah,
it Tupac or is it Biggie?
it's like I love Biggie, but no, it comes nowhere near to me than Tupac. Tupac.
Yeah,
So going back to that kind of introduction to hip hop, like I'd say Will Smith was the first kind of original kind of eased way in, and then Eminem was probably the first hip hop album I bought. It was Marshall Mathers. Yeah, it was definitely the first rap album I bought. And then year 7, I kind of got introduced. One of the lads in my school was a big Tupac fan because his mum was a massive Tupac fan. We used to go back there after school sometimes. I've been playing the park, and like his mum would have Tupac clips now on in the kitchen and stuff. I was like, what is this? Like, it's such a much. It was a very much obviously old school beats, but it was
mm,
the way he rapped with passion and much raw. And from there, I just went home, and I'll never forget this. I wanted to buy Tupac. I remember I had a poster on my bedroom wall with him before
yeah,
I had a CD, and it's
mm,
back when like you had to save up money to buy your CDs.
yeah,
And I went to there's a proper old school record shop in Margate Old Town, which isn't there anymore. And I'd
mm,
saved up my money, went in to buy my first Tupac album. And again, you didn't have the internet on your phone. You weren't able to just quickly Google what's the best rated 2-pack album or anything like that.
Yeah.
So I went in, I was like, I'll grab that one, and I bought it. Got home, unwrapped it, played it, and it was all spoken word. I was like, what's this? And it was the Rose of Grief and Concrete, which is the musical companion to his poetry book.
Yeah.
And I was so gutted because it wasn't any of his tunes. I was waiting for a California Love or a Changes at the time. I was like, what's going on? And and I was gutted. And I had to wait another like month or 6 weeks before I could then go back, and then I bought Me Against the World, and then it just kind of snowballed from there.
Yeah.
But 2-pack was the biggest one for me. I've got literally every CD, every DVD, every book, like everything you could ever imagine of it. So by far, it's going to be 2-pack.
Yeah. I think no kid will know the risk of going into H&B, Woolworths, and
with 10 quid.
with 10 quid, and you can only get one album.
Yeah.
There was, and like if it was a dud, you again, you had to wait, like you said, 6 weeks.
Yeah.
There's no kind of that experience can't be had now. On Spotify, I'll just see if that's all right, stream it. I pay my $9.99 a month for like
exactly.
And that's it.
Yeah.
There was a point where HMV, like you can listen to preview to the songs a bit, so you could do that, but that then the internet took over. You could download anything you want. But yeah, so was there like, what's your favorite 2-pack song or album? What's your favorite?
My favorite album it's got to be Me Against the World, to be honest. I think I don't know if I could give you a favorite song because there's just too many, and it always depends on the mood I'm in. But yeah, it's got to be Me Against the World by far. It's my favorite album.
Yeah. That is a very good album. I think all of his albums are very good, and I think it's a weird thing that you can't often, like, maybe you can't often say that of many rappers, that all their albums are very good, but the both of them release very good albums in a very short space of time. Under incredible pressure from labels, the public, for bit to bit, and that will be I think that doesn't get talked about enough, how the pressure they have to come with hits every single time, not only for themselves to keep themselves, but also to beat the other person.
Exactly. It was true competition hip-hop back then, wasn't it? That's what it was.
Yeah. Why do you think that when someone, like, why do you think there is that question of 2-pack or Biggie? Because you don't get that with anything else. Like you said, you mentioned you like Radiohead. There's no one going, oh, is it Radiohead or I can't name another band that's like Radiohead. It's like,
there is one comparison. It's Radiohead or Muse. Because Radiohead.
Radiohead or Muse. You don't get that same like reaction or that same debate, and I'm a Biggie man because I like the beats, but if I say that to a 2-pack fan, they're like, you don't know what you're talking about. Like,
but I agree with you. 2-pack barely had any decent beats. The only time he had honestly good beats is when he jumped over to Death Row and he had the back of Dre.
Yeah.
And Dre was giving him every best beat that was planned for Snoop or for the Dog Pound. Give it to 2-pack to get this album done. 100%. Like, and it's the same with people like Nas. Nas is again one of the best, in my opinion, one of the best technical rappers ever. His beats have been horrible over the years, apart from Illmatic, where like there's some incredible moments on that album. Like again, but I'm a lyrics man. I do like beats. I do appreciate them. But I completely get it. I would never argue with anyone. If someone said to me, "No, I'm a Biggie man," it's like cool. Like some of my best mates are Biggie friends, like Biggie men. So like, I appreciate it 100%.
Yeah, but coming back, why do you think that is? Why do you think there is this like this thing that like you got to be 2-pack or Biggie? Like what? And how's it sustained that level of time? Because I think I've had previous people said, oh, it was like East Coast or West Coast. It was just another thing to go, but that doesn't really exist anymore.
No,
anymore. So
I think it's because hip hop is still a sport. Like I don't care what you say. I know it's music, but it's a sport, and it even more so was back then. And it's always about being the best.
Yeah,
You're the best rapper, or you've got if you look at it, like just look at what rappers wear. Like, I've got the biggest chains, I've got the best cars, I've got the biggest fur coats, I've got the most women in my music videos.
Yeah.
It's a sport. It's trying to outdo the competitors.
Yeah.
And I think back then it was outdoing each other. There's no other genre of music where a band is going to call out another band, or
No.
just the outro and hit 'em up, like the things that Tupac says
Yeah.
to Biggie and to everyone else on Bad Boy. Like,
Yeah.
no one has ever done that, and they ever will do. Like, just raw emotion. So I think it's because, like, and I wasn't listening to Tupac and Biggie then. I wasn't there live for it. I was too young. But I think it's so hard not to get dragged into it and hear the emotion when they're rapping about each other, or rapping about their coast or their clique that they're from. Like, so I think it's just that it's such a sport, and how it stood the test of time. I think it's just like, it's such a go-to conversation. I think it's just widely accepted that they're two of the best, if not the best rappers ever. So
Yeah.
you've got to have a side. You've got to choose one of them. You can't be, I sit on the fence between the two. No one's ever going to say that. I don't ever heard anyone say I sit on the fence between
No, you don't at all. And I think it is a very good point. It is very much a competition, like rapping, and like that kind of music is. I don't know. I think it's probably born out of like the environments these people were raised in, with the drugs and gangs and its rivalry, and that probably adds to it. But yeah, it's something that stood the test of time, really. Like, where do you kind of see yourself on other um, like verses? Like, obviously, there's you got your Kanye's or Jay-Z. Like, I'm guessing you steer on the side of Kanye.
Dude, yeah, and I don't know why, but I feel guilty for never being that interested in Jay-Z. And it wasn't until he released 444 where I was like, fucking hell, the guy is amazing. I've always appreciated how good he was, and or it still is. But it wasn't until he released that album and I listened to it from front to back several times. Like, I need to revisit it, because again, like in the world we live in now, where the digital age, where like I have every Jay-Z album on my iTunes, or I have every Nas album, or every rapper. It's like I have them there, and they'll be on shuffle, and I'll flick in and out. And I go, yeah, pretty like this song, that song. But there's only a few artists where I'll properly sit down and I'll know the back catalogue, and I'll know songs off every single album. And yeah, I'll be Kanye, but just because, again, it's probably just more accessible. And again, I've seen him live a few times. I got to see Watch Your Throne twice, 2 days on the bounce. So like at that point, back to back days.
I went and saw Watch the Throne, and if you did that 2 generations, you must have been tired, because that was an intense, intense gig. And I've seen Jay-Z live twice, and I've seen Kanye live, Watch the Throne, and I don't think for me it's very much that Kanye Jay-Z thing is two sides of like hip hop, really. There's Kanye, who very much is pushing the boundaries of what hip hop could be, and like his albums changed. You never know what he's going to bring out next. You never know what he's going to say next. So that's all in it. And Jay-Z is very much crafting his talent and like perfecting it. He's not changing it too much. He's kind of like making it as perfect as possible. And I think Jay-Z is one of my favorites up there, because he's just literally perfect. And I still can't believe he doesn't write anything down. He just goes on.
I know, that blows me away every time.
He doesn't. Nothing's written down. He just, oh yeah, we want to do Big Pimpin'. I've not done that in 10 years, but I know all the lyrics. Don't worry.
That's crazy.
But another one is kind of like UK or USA, like hip hop rap kind of thing. Where do you stand on that? There was a big thing in terms of when I was like UK rap, or the UK music scene was never as good as the USA music scene. So
I think it's difficult. I don't think as good as UK rap has got, or even if you want to pigeonhole grime and everything into one collective basket, as good as it's got, it's nowhere near the US. Because of the history of the US rap, that they've got such a a rich back catalogue of, there's classics going back 30 years now, and there's been classics every year and every decade almost. So
Yeah.
I think UK's got a long way to go, but like I'm just trying to think. There's some rappers, UK rappers, that really got me interested in the UK scene, and they might be seen as more kind of mainstream. But your Wretch 32's like,
Yeah.
when it was, but that was more about his Fire in the Booths, and the same with Avellino. When Avellino and Wretch 32 done their Fire in the Booth together, that was just one of the most incredible. And that's still something I go back and watch on YouTube probably every month.
Yeah.
And I quite enjoy, I don't know if you've ever done this, you get a lot of the reaction channels on YouTube now.
Yeah.
A lot of the Americans watching UK hip hop, and the way they're so passionate about UK rap now, that like it makes me quite proud about, that's our music that I listen to from over this side of the pond. So I do think it's trying to get over there, and you look at things like Dave with Psychodrama, one of the most incredible albums of the last decade, to be honest.
Yeah.
So it's definitely making the right moves, and I think now they're becoming a bit more kind of conscious and content heavy in their raps. I think that's only doing good. It's only doing the kind of justice.
So like we touched on grime there. Do you have any like favorite grime artists? I think like grime is kind of like the UK looked at American hip hop and rap, and there was a few, the early originators like your Kanos, your Jamie, Skeptors,
and
your Wileys. They looked at it and thought, that's not us. What we have is this. We have, sound system culture from our parents from Jamaica and the Caribbean countries. We have garage. We have like that influence. We have like even more so battle rapping more than I would say. For me, the Americans did, like actually like going for it, kind of like diss tracks was a major thing and stuff. Like, do you have any favourites in that grime scene?
Kano by a long way. Like he's just stood out to me again. Like he's done very good at making some radio friendly hits, teaming up with people like the Streets back in the day. Like there was always big Kano songs, and then his last couple of albums again have just been Made in the Manor and Hoodies All Summer.
Yeah, Hoodies All Summer.
Two just incredible albums. Again, seeing him live as well down in Brighton when he launched Made in the Manor was just incredible as well. Like having a full on orchestra band and strings. It's just Kano's been incredible, to be honest. Like he's been so consistent.
Really like incredibly consistent. Like and if you think like his first album, Home Sweet Home, was in 2005, and like
it's a long time, isn't it?
It's like 16 years, and a lot of these grime artists, like the originators, have been around for like 15-20 years. Like even like someone who's got a bit of resurgence, I mentioned another, Bugsy Malone, he's been around for 10 years, and you're like, how have these people been around for? Feels like it makes you feel old. But like, how has they been around for so long? And then like, what about the grime artists that are coming through? Is anyone like you thinking like could be, one to watch or anything like that?
For me, because I don't listen to current grime, to be honest, I find it difficult now to kind of separate what's grime and what's kind of UK hip hop. Like there's a local lad from our way called Mike Righteous who's kind of dips in between grime and rap, and he's always been incredibly talented. Like very good lyrical content. His ability at rapping, some of his Fire in the Booths have absolutely blown up. Been amazing. So he's definitely someone that I would shout out from the UK. He went to our school. He did see him my wife's year. So in terms of kind of current UK, more kind of, he's not even a newcomer. He's been out for a good few years now, but he's probably one of the ones that I'd listen to, and I always keep an eye out for his new albums and his latest kind of freestyles and stuff on YouTube.
I would say like if you're like I recommend this person to everyone really, but Slow Tie, he's had two back-to-back really good albums, and his latest album Tyrone is like, he reminds me actually of Eminem. His music is often very challenging, but the videos and the visuals are very like, right, I'm appealing to kids here. Like
Yeah.
it's very kind of energetic, bright, colourful like videos, and it's kind of like there's one where he's in the burger restaurants, and there's the bits where it's clearly like mopping up blood. And it's like, but it's all bright and colourful, and you're like, kids are going to be watching this and thinking no
Yeah.
different. But Slow Tie, Reggie Snow, who's from Dublin, Lord Kana, as well. He's one that I would recommend. I think there's a lot of UK, like it's the second wave that's coming through. Like you've got your H's, your AJ Tracy's, you've got your heady ones, but there's another wave of artists coming through that are gonna be like, it's like our second coming. Basically, you had like, for example, in America, you had your Tupacs, your Biggies, and then after that you got your Jay-Z and Nas, and they America are probably on their like fifth or sixth wave of new artists coming through, where we're kind of just, it seems really weird that we're only on like maybe our second or third like kind of wave, considering the how grime has risen from literally no one cared about it to like literally it's in the top charts every week, like 5 or 6 songs. So yeah, it's just an interesting question really about where, and it's a thing that we've come really far. The next subject we'll move on is all killer no filler. So what is the hip hop album you can play start to finish, no skipping, front to back in one?
I'd say that there's probably quite a few.
Okay, you can list them. Really, we've got time.
We've got time. The one that really jumps out at me is To Pimp a Butterfly, and
very good album.
It's just a work of art, to be honest, and it transcended hip hop. It was more than just a piece of music. I think I never forget the day that it released, because I believe it was a bit of a surprise that he released that the album dropped on that particular day. And I remember waking up, it must have been about 4 a.m. As you do, you roll over, you look at your phone, see what time it is, and weirdly, it was like I was just awake, opened Twitter, and I saw, I think it was Lily Allen tweeted about it, saying this album's incredible. And
that's weird.
It is weird. Like, it was like Lily Allen tweeted about Kendrick's album like dropping. I jumped out of bed. I jumped out of bed, ran downstairs, and opened up the MacBook, and I was like, oh, it's there, and I got it ready, and I just plugged my headphones in, and I listened to that album 2 times back to back before like 7 o'clock in the morning, and then I got on the bus to work in Canterbury. There was an hour, and again listened to the majority of the album again. So that's one that I've just always been able to just because it's a story, because you need to listen to every song in its order. The way that it builds to, dropping in extra elements of the poem, which he then reads at the end, and then has an interview with Tupac. Like, you need to listen to it in its entirety. So by far, that's the one that always kind of jumps out at me.
Yeah, that album is very much, I think Kendrick does very well in telling stories through his albums. Even Good Kid, Mad City is a story. To Pimp a Butterfly is a story. Damn is a story. Like, he very much is right. I'm gonna go against my thing that I said about not jumping on hype. That was an album I actually had to get on the day. Same as you. Kendrick is one of the ones that I'll go, right, I've got to listen to it. You drop what you're doing, get that album, and he's one of them. Kanye, although he's probably my favorite, I always give it a bit, because I find with Kanye, it always, because his next album is always very different to what he's done before. It takes me a while to like get into it. Like every like 808 Heartbreaks, Yeezus, Live with Pablo, like all these other. It took me like, all right, I'm gonna have to listen to that again because it's such a difference. But Kendrick is very much once you've listened to Good Kid, Mad City, you know what to expect and you're ready for the next story. So yeah, that's got a favorite song on that album?
Favorite song, probably Mortal Man. I think it's just the way it kind of rounds off the album and then flows into. You think the song's finished because he's just repeating his poem, and then has a conversation. Like, it's just thinking about it now makes the hairs on my arms stand up. But also as well, How Much a Dollar Cost. I think it's probably on the second or third listen where I really truly understood what was going on in that song. Like,
Yeah.
And again, like just hearing that I am God, like
Yeah.
again, I'm not a religious guy at all, but like
Yeah.
the tingles that it gave us, Jesus, like such a creative guy, like the way it just holds my attention. Like there's not many artists in current hip hop that do the way he does.
Yeah. I don't know if you watched on the BBC hip hop that changed the world, and I think I can't remember, they're talking about Kendrick Lamar's "We Gonna Be Alright," his song, and how that changed. Well, it became a protest song, and I can't remember who said it, but someone said Kendrick Lamar, and I think it might have been Nas or someone of that status that was previous. That said he's the only person that I will drop everything for to find out his album. He has something to say, and that just shows like there is that respect for him from the general public and the people that are deeply involved in hip hop. That this Kendrick has a talent and a skill to that will transcend like beyond all areas of music. He won was it a Pulitzer Prize? Oh no,
I think it was
the first
I
rap
think
song
you're right,
to ever win a Pulitzer Prize, and it's kind of like that is like incredible considering the amount of hip hop that has been preceded before, like late 1970s. You think at least one may have got to that level or been discussed in that time, but for him to be the first.
And he's a relatively still and new artist. If you think about it, like as studio albums go, Good Kid, Mad City was that 2012, 2013, I think.
Yeah.
And then Pimp Up Flow been about 15. So he's what, three studio albums in, and obviously it's amazing. You got to count Section 8 as a mixtape.
Yeah.
Like he's still quite a new artist, and doing things that he's done, and the respect that he's got from, call them the elders, that people like Nas and whatnot. Yeah, it's amazing what he's done.
Yeah, he's due a new album, by the way.
I know.
It's been 3-4 years, so he's due a new album.
Yeah. It probably will be me up at 4 o'clock in the morning. And Lidwell will have to drop whatever she's doing to take care of Ted's for me to listen to albums. I'll listen to it in a minute.
Yeah, you'll be tweeting at Lily Allen. Hey, by the way,
it's here.
What other albums can you listen to?
A lot of Tupac albums. Again, I'll go back to Me Against the World being an absolute front to back album. Quite a few Kanye. I loved Yeezus. I know that got a lot of hate to begin with. Absolutely, that album blows me away, like production wise, and there's so many good little lyrics in there which actually make me laugh every single time I hear them. But I'd say out of Yeezus and Circles and Swimming by Mac. I think Swimming as like, again, like listen to it after knowing what happened to him, and you start to draw upon a lot of his lyrics and knowing where he's at, and then Circles, knowing that he was making that and then passed away before he completed it. Again, some of the content is like heartbreaking, but
I haven't listened to anything by him since. Like really, like I've listened to one or few, but I've not been able to bring myself to listen to the album because I know it was very much about the last kind of, like, you can hear his one. Like Yeezus, like to completely back to Kanye, because all I ever talk about is Kanye seemingly on this one. Like it's because I've been listening to his stuff lately because we can talk about it. But Yeezus is I discussed this with the other Jack on episode maybe 3 or 4 about it being a punk album, because it's very much against the grain. Like the song on the album is like literally insane. Like it literally goes on site. It literally doesn't give you a break or a second, no warning. It literally comes in and smacks you in the face. Even like the fact down to the album cover, which I noticed the other day, it's very much like it's just a CD.
Like, it's just a clear crystal case, isn't it? With
clear with a sticker on it. And even that is a case of like, that is completely against the establishment of what,
and the release of it.
Remember
how he released Black Skinhead, where he had his face just blown up onto like buildings across key cities across the world. Just even the Black Skinhead, like punk rock skinheads, and like it's all there. Like it's weird. Like I've listened to the album when it first came out, and I was like, oh, this is a good album. But coming back to it again and like having these conversations with people, I feel like, you know what, this is actually like an incredible album and well done. But do you think it's harder to produce
an album now?
Yeah, I'd say so, because I think there's the age we live in with instant reviews and instant opinions online on Twitter and YouTube, and everyone's a music critic these days. I think it's just, and it's so easy to compare, and coming up with something unique, like you're damned if you do, damned if you don't kind of thing. So yeah, totally, a lot harder now, I think.
Do you think that's that like whole way we consume music as well? It makes it hard to be truly creative. Like it's like from what from what it appears to be. I don't know anyone in the music industry, but what it appears to me is that just get music out there, just single stuff that's going to get in the charts, get you streams, and then you can make your second album. Rather than like, there's very few artists that are given the grace. You got your Kendricks, you got your Kanye's, that are given the grace to like, right, let's craft an album properly. Like you might get that for your first album, but the second album's like, right, we need those hits.
Like, start paying for yourself. Yeah. No, I think there's that click. It's the attention value, the attention time that listeners probably just don't have now. Like say your newer hip hop listeners. I think I can't remember who spoke about it, but it was the way that people consume albums now. That a lot of times it's awful to hear that kids will click on the first song and kind of skip through halfway. Do I like the sound of that next song? Until they like a song, and they don't listen to an album from front to back. So it's got to be kind of murder when you're sitting there kind of creating what is your like artistic, the way you kind of get your art out into the world, and then the way you feel consuming it, kind of clicking through and not listening it front to back. It's got to be hard.
Yeah, I was listening to Ramesh Nathan's podcast, Hip Hop Saved My Life, and he had Munya Chawawa on there, who's very talented comedian, and very good on Instagram, and like literally he's blown up over lockdown. And I was listening, and he's a very intelligent person, and he's not going to be around for just 1 year. He's going to be around for years to come. And he said he listened to albums, he would skip to the middle of the track. And I was like, what are you doing, mate? And I respect you. I think you're talented, but that is like literally no. You can't just skip to the middle of the track. And he said, I skip to the middle of the track and I decide where. But that's his own choice. That's how he consumes me. But I was like, that seems bizarre. I don't know if I could do that. And maybe that, like, I was on the episode that's due out Monday the 15th of March. I'll just plug that for anyone. I don't know who's listening because this is going to come out later. Anyway, but I was speaking to one of my friends who's a teacher, and she's saying kids are just like, they don't have the attention span to listen to an album. She was like, they are on YouTube just like skipping through songs, not listening to albums. Kids can't buy Spotify, so they're not listening to albums. Their parents won't pay for them Spotify for them, or iMusic or stuff like that. So kids are just literally going, and that's who buys the music. That's who's going out, you know, clubs and stuff, and when they can, and playing music like that, and who's creating these TikToks. They don't listen to albums. They're like, right, I need a good song for my, my Instagram posts. Like, let me find the song. And Instagram and TikTok feed into that because you can only listen to 30 seconds of the song. And that
makes you wonder, what's the future for albums? 10 years time, is it just going to be your chosen few artists that do create albums to be listened to as albums, and then everyone else is on contracts that release this many singles for a year? Like, that could be the way, but it'd be awful.
It'll be horrendous. I think there's something like there's an album that I don't think many people will know of this rap band. They're called Little Brother. They're a hip hop duo from America, and it has like producer what's it called, Fonte, Big Pooh. They're like a rapper producer combo, and they released an album called The Minstrel Show, and that album is like a story. And when I discovered that album, I was like, I felt special, even though I wasn't the first person. But I was like, everybody, listen to this album. It's very good. I felt like I discovered something. Whereas if you discover a song, it's not the same. I don't think
No,
when you
no,
discover a whole bit of work, it
it's
feels like
exciting, isn't it?
it's exciting. It feels like
Yeah,
you are, and you kind of like you're showing it off, like you you made it, but you
like
don't.
you've had something to do with it.
Yeah. Um, yeah, that's a very good album for anyone that wants to
I've just made a note.
who likes albums that are a story, and it's very much a well put together um, album. I think like I don't think you get that enough now. There's still artists that produce albums, but do you find that there's albums out there that are like this doesn't go together? Like these are just songs after songs. Like
Yeah, I do, and they're not. It's just not the type of music I listen to. I mean, like, I don't listen to the radio. I don't
yeah,
flick through the music channels. Um, I follow all the hip hop artists and producers that I like on my socials on Twitter and Instagram, and that's kind of why I got onto those social media pages back in the day, was to listen, find out who's on tour or who's
yeah,
releasing an album. So that's where I kind of find out what's coming up, and you hear snippets and whatnot. So that's kind of where I get it from. So I
yeah,
won't listen to albums if they're not an
yeah.
album. I don't want to sound like a snob or like,
No,
this is the way you should listen to music or whatnot. But
no,
it's just the way I like it. I like an
yeah,
album to be an album,
just your person.
cohesive.
Like, do you think like you speaking of music channels? Do you think MTV and those channels foreshadowed something in terms of how they like played music?
Probably, yeah,
Because they didn't play albums on those channels; it was
never.
just literally songs.
Yeah, it
And you think,
was.
and you think that do you think someone was like, "What
It's
about
still
this?"
coming.
But just on audio, not even
Yeah,
the video. You don't even get the video, which is a very creative, like hip hop videos and like music videos. It can be very creative. And do you think
yeah,
someone was like, "Right, this, but no videos. I can't afford the videos."
yeah,
That's just a thought that's come to me, like because that's how we used to like consume music as kids.
yeah.
For me,
It
anyway,
was.
it would be like MTV. It would come on, and you just go for it, and be like, a song would come on, and be like, everyone like it would be my brother, like, Gav, come in the room. They're playing the song,
Yeah,
like, and
yeah.
like maybe someone was sitting there all those songs, like, right, I've got an idea. but
Honestly, yeah. Yeah, and do you know what? Music channels back in the day back in the VCR. I used to sit there and
yeah,
press record when my favourite song come on, and that was like back in the Eminem days when Stan
yeah,
come on. And I used to have a videotape where it would have like 15 of my favourite songs at that point of their music videos, but they all had 5 seconds cut off the front because I didn't hit record quick enough. But that was like that, make your own kind of mixtapes so I could listen to them on demand.
yeah.
Crazy.
But yeah, we'll get on to the next section, which is hip hop hell. So describe to me your hip hop hell. What is the thing that you would like to put in hell that is related to hip hop?
Um, I I hate what do they call it? Is it the money phone where they hold a stack of money up to their ear and talk to it? I cannot fucking stand that.
Oh,
Yeah, it's.
didn't expect that.
I hate that. I hate grills,
Okay.
and I hate some of the kind of pendants that I see, and like it'll be a cartoon version of their face, and I think why you just spent like $100,000 to have a smaller version of what's above it, hanging off your neck. Like I don't know. I think it's that braggadocious side of it that it's a bit sickening. Like my favorite hip hop artist, like in current times, your Kendricks. He walks around in a t-shirt and Nike Cortez on, and J
Yeah.
Cole looks like he's just been trying to wash windows for money, like
Yeah.
windows in the street. And
Yeah.
the rappers that I really like and take note of, like in Nas's, Jay-Z's, like they just don't look like billionaires.
Yeah.
Whereas the guys that have just signed a record deal for $1 million or $2 million for the whole year, just blown it all that first week, and they're
Yeah.
wearing it. That's one thing in hip hop that I hate, and it probably is consistent with that kind of new style of rap that I'm just not a big fan of, to be honest.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I know it's always been there. It's always been
Yeah.
there. Big gold ropes and all that.
It's always been part of it, that kind of bragging right thing, and I think it has a lot to do with the
Coming from
upbringing,
nothing.
coming from nothing, and that
Yeah.
kind of that thing, and look, I made it, I've made somewhere,
Yeah.
and I think very often it's the younger rappers or your newer rappers that do it. They've never seen that kind of money before,
Yeah.
and that's what and as they mature and as they grow like older, you know,
They stop doing it as much.
they
Yeah.
stop doing it. Like, you know, you say that the money phone thing. When I've googled it, Mac Miller's one of the first to
Is
come
it
up in
really?
it. Yeah, there's one of Mac Miller, and I think it's just something that when you're young, it's just something that, you know, it's a good photo.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
it's a good, like, the aesthetic of it. Like, it looks good. I can see like
Yeah.
the like that kind of like it's an aesthetically pleasing image because it kind of like,
Yeah.
I don't know. It looks good, but I think it's very much a young rapper thing, and very much of a. I don't think many. You say that there was, what's that rapper called? I don't keep up with these
No,
rappers that
there's too
are
many
like
Lils.
your SoundCloud rappers. You
Yeah.
know, there's one that got the diamond put in his head.
Oh,
Uh,
it wasn't Lil Uzi Vert, was it? Or was it?
Yeah, I can't remember. Yeah, Little Uzi Vert. Never
Yeah.
listened to any of his music.
No.
He just put 24 million pink diamonds in his head. And I'm like, this is just, and a lot of it's just for the press. It's
Of
for
course it
press.
is. Yeah. It's
For press.
clicks. Yeah.
Clicks.
Yeah.
Same with Takeshi 69. Never
Yeah.
listened to any of his music.
Nope. Know who he is though, don't we?
Know who he is.
Yeah.
Your little pumps, your little Yarchies, like, and it's and maybe that's the whole thing where it's coming back to singles. It's just to keep you relevant
Yeah.
to stuff.
100%.
I'm sure they have good music. I'm sure of it
I
because
hope
they
they do.
could. You hope they do. You can't think they would be this popular with absolutely trash songs
Yeah.
because they've got an audience because they are popular and they've got millions of
100%.
followers and they've got, you know, they don't, you know, Little Easy Vet is not putting diamonds in his head every week to get, like, he's only doing that every couple of months. It's not like a thing, like a thing he does. It's not like a
Yeah.
trick. He's only doing that every couple of months to like boost, you know, similar
Yeah.
way to like, think about Kanye when your new album's dropping, he starts tweeting. You know,
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
you
It's true, isn't it?
you know something's coming. If he starts tweeting some crap, you know an album.
You know, there's an album coming. Yeah.
Like, you know. So maybe it's that kind of thing. It's they've seeing that, and a lot of these new rappers owe everything to Kanye, and they're probably just
Yeah.
modeling after him. Like, he was the first, you know, person to like wear a pink polo and wear a
Yeah.
backpack, and a lot of those you can see the influence in those new rappers anyway. But yeah, I did not expect you to say the money phone. The money phone. Is there anything else? How do you feel about you know, in general, those SoundCloud rappers? How do you feel about them?
I say good luck to them. Like
Yeah.
they again, like a lot of them would have come from nothing. So again, like, I don't want to take anything away from them. And like, you know, I can sit here and slag their music off all I want. As bad as their music might be, is 10 times as good as I can ever make. So like, I've
Yeah.
got to give them a bit of like respect. And people, I think one of them that really did kind of grab me was XX Tentacion. Like,
Yeah.
I think he had made some good music.
Yeah.
Not all of it. Some of it was absolute shit. But
Yeah.
like, I think was his last album 17? I can't remember. I just
17.
remember he died the day before Lydia was due to give birth to Ted. So like his death kind of resonated with me, what was going on. And then I listened to his music a few weeks after that, and then I was like, oh, he's actually really good. Like, some of his stuff is really good. So I'm sure, and he's another one of those rappers that I would have just seen on social media and thought, I won't give him a minute of my time in the day. But I just happened to listen to it because I was sitting in hospital and nothing else to do, so I did.
Yeah.
And I appreciated some of it. So I'm sure if I gave it a go, or if I was stuck in someone else's car for an hour and they played it, like, I'd find some bits and bobs in it that I like. I just don't think I'll ever go looking for it. Do you know what I mean?
I definitely very much think that one of the ones that I gravitated was 21 Savage, because I think he's genuinely like, what happened is like there was all this hype about him. I think there was a bit of hype around when he, you know, he's an odd looking fellow. I think that drew a lot of people's attention to him, and also there was this thing like he was from the UK. He's British, and that just made it funny somehow. But I listened to his album, and then I saw an interview with him, and he is super switched on to what he wants to do with his music and what his goal is.
Yeah.
He's very intelligent. He came across very well in the interview I watched him on. I mean, I listened to his music based on because I was like, most of the SoundCloud rappers are just spouting like sound bites for people to
Yeah.
clip and like play through his memes and stuff like that. And listen to his album, it's like, actually, you are talented here, and there's something there. You've just got to like. I wouldn't say it was like the best album I listened, but I was like, yeah, there's something here, and you could go on. If you get another 2 or 3 albums with the right producers, the right people around you, you could, very much find a good lane for yourself here, and
Yeah.
very much be one of it. And I think it's definitely talent out in those in those rappers, but it's where are they at a point where the music industry is just about selling records, or is it
Yeah.
just
Are they allowed to go down that avenue that
yeah
kind of appeals to you? Do you know what I mean? Like, is that enough to get them where they need to be in the charts?
yeah
Like,
yeah
that's the thing.
yeah, and it's just there's there's a few that could potentially get to that status of it, and
Yeah.
there's a few that could just be kind of one hit, one album wonders, or just release singles, and
Yeah.
then every now and then come up with an album. But
Yeah.
So the next section is hip hop Mount Rushmore. So tell me your top 4 rappers of all time in your opinion.
Tupac's got to be there
Obviously.
by far.
Obviously.
He'd be the first. You might as well start carving that one right now.
Yeah.
I think to go next, it's going to have to be. They're all going to be from a similar time, but and then no shocks. But you're going to go Tupac, Biggie, Nas, and
the 4th one's always the hardest.
It's difficult. I'd like to say Jay-Z because I respect him. I think he's pretty, but I'd be fake saying that like he's up there for me because I just didn't get into it at the right time, and I appreciate his stuff now, but I'd have to put Eminem over him only because of like technical ability. I don't think there's been any other rappers that have been able to rhyme certain words together like put words together the way that Eminem has. I'd have to say Eminem. I think ask me that question in 5-10 years time, I'd probably knock Eminem off and put Kendrick there. I'd like to say Kendrick is there at the moment, but I just don't think he's been around long enough to kind of go up there. But
yeah. So you're one of the first people to put both Tupac and Biggie on it,
really?
Considering they are the heavyweights. They are the what some people maybe see like the start point of like new hip hop rap. Like obviously you've got your old ones, your Grandmaster Flash, you Run the MCs, your NWAs. They might be the news like where everyone is now coming from. You're the first person to do that. I want to talk a little bit more about Eminem. You put him up there for his technical ability, and it's something that we've had. This podcast might be called Eminem and Kanye West. That's all we ever talk about. But Eminem is just something that he's so good technically. Why is it that his albums keep coming out and they don't do well?
Again,
what's your opinion on that?
I think he's just starting to try too hard, and in my opinion, I don't think he's ever reached what he achieved with the Marshall Mathers LP.
Yeah.
So that album came out in 2000, so it's 21 years old, and I think he's chasing that album, and he's just trying very hard to stay relevant, and you see that in the choice of some of his features that he has, and I just think his first couple of albums, Slim Shady and Marshall Mathers, were just very, very good albums, and I don't know what's going on. I think he had he fitted so well into that time in the late 90s and early 2000s where he ran hip hop, and I don't know, he's just tried to stay in current, and he's just not stuck at what he's good at. But he's still. You look at some of his worst sounding songs, the lyrical ability, the way he raps, is still incredible.
Yeah, he is still very much like. I think he does better when he features, or he's not really doing album. He might be the person that a single might be better suited to him.
Yeah,
because he's not having to craft a whole album. He can probably, I think he doesn't have much to say anymore. He doesn't have
completely agree
a viewpoint, and I think maybe a single would be best because he can do he doesn't have to do a full, story. He can just do, right, this single's gonna be hard, and I'm like, I don't know if you saw any of his battles with Machine Gun Kelly. They were like literally he was tearing Machine Gun Kelly apart.
It's the best stuff he's done in a long time.
Yeah, in a long time, and maybe that's his kind of,
It's what he's good at, and it's his ciphers as well. When he's done those Slim Shady 10 and 11 ciphers where he gets the whole of or anyone on Shady Aftermath Records, and he just raps for 15 minutes straight. All the stuff he's done, like Jump on the Tim Westwood show back in the day, just rapping for 10, 15 minutes. Like, that's what he's good at, and that's why he's up there for me.
Yeah, and he very much could be someone that does that and be successful of that, because people would still, if he released an EP about 4 songs, people still buy it, still sell out.
100%, yeah.
Still sell out, still make money.
Doesn't need to drop 15 song
20 song album
with, every current artist on
every pop, Taylor Swift's on there.
Like doesn't need to do it, man.
He doesn't need to do it, and maybe that's what he needs to do.
Should we let him know?
I think his email is just eminem@gmail.com. I think I can do that. But yeah, he very much needs to just stop trying too hard. Nas is your other one, did you say? Was it Nas?
Yeah,
like
Nas.
Nas is one of my favorites, but not many people mention Nas, considering how influential Illmatic is. What puts Nas up there for you?
Again, I think if you were to just kind of score rappers on different aspects of their ability, so we're talking songwriting, like the actual ability to write their own lyrics, have some kind of content meaning. I think a big thing that kind of ticks the box for me is like the cadence, the way they sound, the voice, the delivery. I think he ticks every box so well. Like, I think I mentioned it earlier. The only thing that's kind of been a weakness for him in his kind of middle albums is his beat selection.
Yeah,
and he's had a few like absolute worldy beats in each of his albums, but I think that's the only thing that's kind of let him down. But I just think in terms of content and like his rap, like again, he's someone I always go back to, and like again, he stood the test of time. Like his album Nasir, which was obviously produced by Kanye, was just I've been listening to that quite a lot lately, and
that's a very good album. But that's because he's got a good producer.
It just shows you what he's capable of.
Yeah. And did you listen to King's Disease?
No, well, I did, but I didn't go into that as much.
I thought that was it wasn't his best, but it was up there. He seems to be fun. It's interesting because I'm looking at his albums like now, and he went through a spate of just releasing an album like every
year, wasn't it? Yeah,
every year.
So close
like
together.
Illmatic 94, 1996 was written. I Am 99, Nostradamus 99 again. Still
Life is Good was one that drew me back into him again.
Yeah, and that one has a 4-year break between the previous album, Untitled, and again from Life is Good to Nasir, there's a 6-year break, and I think it's like this thing where same with Eminem, like can you not what's pushing these artists to release albums
it's got to be,
year after year?
It's got to be record companies. They have to give a certain amount of albums in a certain year period. So I'm assuming, because I always question that. I think with Eminem, like, why have you just thrown this album out? It's flopped, and then you've thrown another one out, and that one's flopped. And it's the same with Nas. Like again, like I said, he's had some great tracks on every one of his albums, but like you just said, like every couple of years, he's constantly in the studio to release albums that consistently, unless he's just got a back catalogue and he's just like churning them out. But a lot of time when that's why Kendrick does so well, because he leaves it 4 years, digest that, soak every bit of it up until you want it more, and then you're gonna love it.
Yeah, I wonder if it's the deals they sign where it's like it's got to be the deals. It's got to be, because like another person that that released an album was Busta Rhymes, and he's not released a proper album for a while, and that his album it's a very good album. It's better than what Eminem or Nas is producing. And he took a break. He went away. He thought about things, and he was on, what was he on? He was on what's his name? DJ Semtex's hip hop
Yeah.
podcast, and he was discussing like that he didn't do the album when they said it was ready. He shopped his album around. He was like, right, this is a precious thing to me. And he went and spoke to record label and said, this is what I want to do. And he heard their thoughts. And he was like, no, you're not the right person to do this album with, because this album's going to be like special to me. And you know, I'm not going to say like it's a very good album. I enjoyed a lot of songs on there.
There were a lot of songs on it.
It's a long album. I think it's a bit too long, in my opinion, for an album. But it's still good. There's some really good songs on it. And
there's a Kendrick tune on there as well.
Yeah.
That one. Yeah.
I think I got drawn to it because he was like, right, I took my time.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't jump at the first person. Right, we'll do that for you. He took his time, and I think that's as important. And maybe that's where Nas was at in the middle stage of his career, where he was just like, I've been tied into this. We don't know. I'm just speculating. I don't know what Nas does. what deals he's with. Yeah, but yeah, that's a very, very old school. You know,
like I say, Kendrick he's there. He's at the bottom of the mountain at the moment. Like he's working his way up. Yeah, he's about to knock. In my opinion, he'll knock Eminem off of my list. But if he carries on being as consistent as he's been,
I don't know how he can't, because even the Black Panther album he did, which is a compilation album, he kind of had a hand in that.
Yeah.
And the song choices on that album is very good. I don't think he's I think he's got a vision very much.
Well, the next album's gonna be a rock album, so I heard. Like the first kind of rumors where it's going to be kind of rock infused, but there are a few aspects of that, and down was quite rock.
Yeah.
So probably that.
And again, hip hop changed well. They were listening to they were saying about Run DMC's Rock Box, and how that's a rock hip hop album, and it probably is the right, like the meaning behind, like they was listening to it, and it behind that album is probably, spoiler alert for anyone who's watched it or who's not watched it yet, is that there's that point where white people listen to rock and black people listen to hip hop, and there was no crossover, and there was 2 songs that was going to be released of that album, released on that vinyl. There was going to be one with the guitar and one without the guitar on it. And Run DMC was like, the guitar one will get played more, will get played less, and our one on the, that will be the one that everyone goes for without the guitar. And it turned out the guitar one. And it may be that time, it seems to be politically quite divisive at the moment. And maybe a time where there needs to be a hip hop rock album.
I think it wouldn't hurt, would it, at all?
It wouldn't hurt. And Kendrick is,
if anyone's going to do it, it's got to be Kendrick, and you wouldn't want Eminem doing it.
No,
please, Eminem, if you're listening.
Yeah, or Little Uzi, or Little Uzi Vert trying to do something. But I think maybe it might be the right kind of time for an album like that. Anyway, that's just a bit of a tangent there.
Yeah.
So, what are, like, the next section? If no hip hop, what are your listening habits if you're not listening to hip hop?
I listen to a lot of podcasts, to be honest. And I've got to say, Ramesh's podcast was you recommended my wife to tell me to listen to, because I was there, where I think you two were speaking about hip hop and stuff, and there's only so much Liv can talk about hip hop until she goes, Jack likes it, so I listen to it. So I think you obviously told her to pass on. So I listen to his podcast quite a lot. Like I said earlier, I'm a huge Radiohead fan, and I think what draws me to Radiohead is similar to what I like about artists like Kendrick and like Kanye, where every album they reinvent themselves, and there's aspects of electronic. He's jumped on Tom York's jumped on tracks with albums with Flying Lotus and MF Doom and bits and bobs. So there's a lot of transferables between Radiohead, like biggest band in my life, and there always will be. So I have to say, if I'm not listening to hip hop, I'm probably listening to Radiohead, or I go on these weird tangents. I listen to Sigur Rós, an Icelandic that kind of post rock band. So I do go quite eclectic, I suppose. I just don't. The only thing I don't listen to is the radio. In all honesty, I just like to choose what I'm going to listen to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was thinking about Ramesh Ranganathan's their hip hop tape life. I was like, am I just doing what he does? Like, we're both from ethnic backgrounds. We've both got beards. Like, it's basically the same thing. But I was like, you know what? You know, there's hope.
There's enough room.
There's enough room. Like, you go into the supermarket, you see bread. There's, Hovis,
There's a
Kingsmill.
choice.
There's a choice.
We're providing choice. Yeah.
We're providing choice. Another podcast I would recommend that's about hip hop, which is DJ Semtek's one, Hip Hop Raised Me. That's also a very good one to listen to. It's very much. I think Ramesh is very funny with it, and like it's a comedy based hip hop show, I would say.
Mm-hmm.
And then DJ Semtek, it's like he is he is a massive influence in the UK and the American music scene. They're well respected, and it's very much an in-depth, like, if you want to know the process behind what these artists are thinking about, what these people think about hip hop, that is a very in-depth one, and I recommend that to you.
Yeah.
I think there's been a couple of episodes. I've only listened to a couple. Podcasts you can get behind so quickly without even realising it.
I've got so many of the Ramesh because again I listen to them on the road normally, and wherever I'm working from home during this, I've got so much to listen to, like on podcasts side things.
Yeah. So like it's just like Radiohead, Sigur Rós. Do you do you ever like? I don't know what Lydia listens to. Do you ever get into like her music and be like,
she's listening, sorry. We have a constant battle in the car, like we're out in the car together. Like she always wins because I tend to be driving. I'm not going to fight because it's quite dangerous to use the phone. So it's always Lydia always wins. But there's definitely songs of mine that she'll listen to, and that's good. Like, and then she'll get into it. Like I think I've got quite into Mac Miller over the last couple of years.
Yeah,
I think she does appreciate his music now, but I think she just gets a bit bored of it sometimes, and she goes to her safer. I call it like pink music, where it's just like the album cover would be pink and white.
She might like Dojo Cat's album, which
is
an American. It's an American like female rapper hip hop thing. The album cover's pink. That's really sexist. Like she'll like it as pink. I don't mean it like that. I just mean it's rap. It's rap. It's hip hop, but it's also like it might be something. I think female rap like has grown in the last couple of years, like tremendous. It's always been there. You've always had your Missy Elliott's, your Little Kims. I was Eve the other day. I was like, oh yeah, she like.
What happened to Eve?
Yeah, she rapped really well. She was a good rapper. Your Queen Latifah's. You had loads of female rappers out there, but it's got a resurgence of like with your Nicki Minaj and Kobe. But she might like Doja Cat. The album's called Hot Pink. Again,
of course it is.
But again, not being sexist. I listened to the album. It's a really good album, and she might like got loads of.
I'll give it a go myself.
Loads of good songs on there. So the final section really is your recommendations and recommendations. Well, who would you recommend for people out there to listen to?
I've got to recommend Odd Future. I haven't mentioned them at all in this chat, but again, I tend to just enjoy people that try and break the mold and do stuff that no one else is doing, and I think what Tyler done with Odd Future. Look at what's come out of there in the Frank Oceans, and even Elle Sweatshirt, I think it's just again.
Oh, Elle Sweatshirt is one of like you're a person. You've got good taste. Elle Sweatshirt is
just amazing.
Yeah.
His first album, Earl, or the mixtape Earl. I mean, he was 16, 17.
Yeah.
Fucking hell, man! Some of the stuff that he was spitting, and again, his ability, his technical ability to rap. And so many kind of cinnamon. I can't even say the word. Like there's so many double entendres and meanings, like just amazing. And he's gone out like into his own kind of little lane of late with like some rap songs. That album was quite a kind of challenging listen, but I'd definitely recommend a lot of Odd Future stuff, like Tyler's Bastard album, his first few albums. up to Wolf. I kind of went off a little bit like
Yeah.
and stuff, but definitely a lot of Odd Future stuff.
Yeah.
I highly recommend Mac Miller. I think if
Yeah.
you're that person that's listened to like his kind of earlier releases, like his pop songs and stuff like that, just go. I'd recommend just go back, give them a go. Even if you just skip to like watching movies or Divine Feminine, don't listen to that when your mum's in the room because there's a lot of noises. Listen to it when your mum's there. And then is most of my kind of recent works. I'd stick with those really. Odd Future kind of a bit more fun, boundary pushing stuff, and then Mac. I've got to give a shout out to Mac.
So I want to I'm going to recommend stuff to you as well.
Cool.
Vince Staples. Yeah, good.
Yeah.
Denzel Curry.
Yeah. Okay.
He's good. Joey Badass. I like him a lot. Freddie Gibbs. He does.
Freddie Gibbs is amazing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Down with Madlib, fucking amazing now.
Yeah, and then there's Denzel Curry. He did a song with what's his name? Listen to Denzel Curry's Taboo. That album's incredible, by the way, for people listen to that. And he's got an album with what's the guy called? Just like having a quick Google, really. What's he called? Sorry, I'm just going through my Spotify playlist. JID.
Okay. Oh, yeah.
JID. Oh, he's got some good stuff as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's and I think it's Baz or Baz. Yeah.
I know the one.
Also very good. But yeah, I think there'll be kind of stuff you would enjoy. And
Denzel Curry's one I've been meaning to get to be honest. And Slow Ties, again, like you mentioned earlier, I've got his Tyrone album sitting there that's queued. Again, I've got so much to listen to. Road, which is the 29th of March, I'll be back out there. So that's what I'm doing most of my listening. But,
So onto that, like the future of hip hop, like we've discussed that, like some bits of it, like the maybe the potential decline of the album, the streaming, and things. So what do you think the future of hip hop looks like? So in the next 10, 20 years, when you're 50, do you think you'll still be listening to hip hop? Sorry, do you still think you'll be listening to hip hop, or what do you think it would look like? How do you think you'll be consuming it?
Yeah, I think I will. I think obviously we're a similar age. I think we come into hip hop at the right time. Like we had like kind of the artist. I reckon we've got the peak of hip hop, and that's kind of saddens me to say it because I think you look back at what we had in the 80s with your Run DMCs and your Public Enemies and stuff, like that was all the new wave, a new genre, and then we had the 90s of kind of gangster rap, and then we've moved into the 2000s and where we are now. I think we've just been spoiled for the amount of quality artists that have come through, and now we're just not seeing as many of them. And I don't know if that's just because maybe if I was there listening to Tupac in '95, would I have looked at Tupac as one of the greatest rappers of all time at that point, or did it take him dying to become that?
Yeah.
Did he become the martyr of hip hop, and then everyone decides he's the greatest rapper of all time, or not everyone? But I just don't know who to pick out of the current bunch. Who's going to be there in 10 years' time, other than your Kendrick? I can't see Kanye stopping anytime.
J. Cole, I think, will be there as well.
J. Cole and that elusive album between him and Kendrick that ever comes down.
Yeah, I think I think very much we probably like hip hop will be splinter out. I think into various kind of sub-genres and very heavy. So you'll have your trap, you have your mumble rap, you have your conscious hip hop, you have your experimental, like your Tyler the Creators, which is if you've told someone that's a hip hop album and they were like, no, that sounds nothing like NWA. What are you on about?
Exactly.
Like that kind, and you'll have very much. I think we're very much entering a stage of rappers, musicians doing what they feel they want to do. Like you've got your people like Action Bronson, you've got your people like Post Malone, and very much doing their own thing, and not no one is sticking to a lane anymore. Everyone is cross and finding their own like thing, and you still have those. I can't remember the band, but I was listening to a band the other day, a hip hop band. I was like, these sound like 90s rappers.
Brockhampton.
Brockhampton.
Yeah.
There's bands out there that are like, hang on a second, you sound like you're from the 90s. There's also
Yeah.
one, Cass is Dead.
Yeah.
He's like you don't sound like you're from this new generation of rappers.
Yeah.
Like you are. I think there'll always be that someone's tapping into that old school, and I think it will continue. I think the nature of our society, we want something new and fresh all the time.
Yeah.
And I think that would just push it even more so that like you'll have your mainstays that'll be there and they'll be considered classics.
Yeah.
And when the album drops, everyone will go for it. But you'll have very much like splinter off into little subgenres of different rappers. But it's important to try and explore that, like, and find stuff like you say, challenging stuff. Like, you know, there's stuff like the whole mumble rap. There's like I've said this before. Future, don't get it, don't like it, but I'll listen and see if I can get it, because sometimes it takes me a while to come back to it, because like, or it might just be like you're not for me, but I like 2 Chainz, I like Migos' stuff, like I like. It might just be you're not found the artists that you like in that lane. So
that's it.
yeah.
Yeah.
And I also think the pandemic will help. I think people having this time to sit at home and not do a lot will have spurred creative people on. Like, for example, I wasn't doing this podcast before the pandemic. I just started it because I was bored, basically.
Exactly.
And so there'll be a lot of people. There'll be new artists that come out that have been bored. There was someone on what's it called, on the radio the other day. A1 and J1, I think. I was listening to A1 on the radio. They've got a song in the charts at the moment.
Yeah.
And they met each other on House Party. The app
that was shortly of craze, wasn't it?
That app that boomed, and their song's called Latest Trends, and it's in the charts, and it's like that is such a short space of time for someone like with it. House Party, I downloaded that maybe in April 2020, and they've got a song in the charts a year later. That wouldn't have happened.
No.
I think like they may have got some underground recognition, and maybe 2 or 3 years might have but directly into the charts, that wouldn't happen. They met on House Party. They may have never even met.
I was just about to say that they may have never been in the same room with each other, but they could well have created a song and now they're charting and making money from it. It's amazing, isn't it?
So I very much think that there'll be loads of older artists that produce good music will come out, and there'll be a lot of new musicians that we've never heard of before that will come through.
There's actually there's an artist I've just got, before I forget this guy, I can't pronounce his name properly. It's Toby Nwigwe.
Oh yes. There
was a tune, Thunderfear, is it?
Yeah.
Oh my god! I saw the visual to it and the song. I was like, "Where's this guy come from? How have I not heard of him?" I straight away downloaded everything of his done. It's amazing.
Amazing. I was listening to him. Maybe I'm not going to sound like I'm going to sound like I was listening to him way before anyway. But I was listening to him like maybe 6 months before he dropped that album, or 6 or 7 months before he dropped that album.
Have I missed something? Is he blown up or what?
Yeah, he's blown up massively. I think mostly of the visuals and the what he's talking about. And again, it's that authenticity. He's
got a message.
He's got a message, and he's very much embracing his own African heritage and culture within his music and the visuals.
808 beats, heavy everywhere.
Yeah. And it's literally, he is. I don't know how to pronounce his name either. I should probably learn, because I want to recommend him to more people.
That's the only reason I don't mention him to people. I don't know how to pronounce it.
He's incredible. I thought literally you just need, like, you don't need it, but if you get a hit that gets played on the radio, you will blow up. I actually tweeted him because I was like, I've got a, I don't tweet many celebrities.
No.
Or anyone. I slid into his DMs, and I was like, mate, you are incredible. Like, you got to. I want to know more about like the visuals and what comes first. How do you plan your music? Because it all just
so cohesive, isn't it?
It's so cohesive, and I was like, how do you get this? And he never replied, but
probably busy.
Probably too busy. But definitely.
That's a big recommendation.
Yeah, big recommendation. Well, that is it, really. We are done. We're at the end of the podcast. Thanks for coming on.
Thanks. Could have gone longer.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
fair
I think
to
I feel like we could have talked for ages about that.
Yeah, definitely.
I would definitely be sending you hip hop recommendations, not
Please
through
do.
Lydia,
Likewise.
but
Yeah.
because and I will definitely have another chat about hip hop again.
100%.
Because I thoroughly enjoyed that. It was really fun.
Yeah,
So
cool. Thanks
thank you for coming on.
Yeah,
I'm going to press stop, but we'll have a little chat afterwards and see how we found that. But
cool.
goodbye,
Cheers.
everyone. Bye.
Bye.
So, this is the outro. I've done something wrong here. I've already seen it on screen as recorded, but anyway, I'll try and fix it. Don't worry about it. That's just me. I hope you really enjoyed that episode. I thoroughly enjoyed talking to Jack about his hip hop choices. I felt like I learned a lot about him as a person doing it as well. That's why I found it really enjoyable. And also, I enjoyed that I have another person that I can talk to hip hop about and really go. And from a different perspective as well, from a different sorts of taste. What do you guys think of money phones? Do you like money phones? I never thought of it as anything that big, but see Jack dislikes money phones. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed the episode. Like, subscribe, share, comment, follow, recommend it to your friends. Follow me on Instagram, which is 4BS89. We're on everywhere now. Hope you really enjoy. Bye.